So you just lost a fight, you just lost a competition, or you didn't perform the way you thought you should have performed, and now you're starting to second guess yourself. Why? Let's look at it from this perspective. Someone says something to you that bothers you about your performance if you won, or the reasons why you lost. They can talk about, hey, you should have me train you, you should do this, you should go to that team. We know all that. And as far as your performance goes, they say, oh man, you should run more, hit the bag more, grapple more, whatever. They talk about all the things that are external, things that really could be fixed in the gym, except for one little problem. They weren't there. They weren't in the gym with you, but now they have so much to say. They're going to tell you all kinds of things that have nothing to do with your passion, what's going on inside your heart, which is where they need to start. They need to go and say, hey, what does this really mean to you? And if they're going to be part of the process, they should be trying to get involved to help you achieve, and not just beat you down. But here's the funny thing. Why are you listening to them? I like storytelling. Some of what I do at the corner involves storytelling. In other words, I read the story as is, and then I tell my fighter how to counter that situation. I'm telling a new story in real time. We've got to write a new story, and we've got to play it out. We've got 3 minutes a round. We've got 3 rounds. We've got a limited amount of time to tell that story. When it comes to storytelling, you have to think about the process of an author who writes the story. He writes a rough draft. Then he writes the final draft. And then he finally writes the final script. And there might be more steps in there, but the point I'm making is there are steps. You ever think about your favorite movie? It's just a story being played out with characters, moving pictures. It's just a story. And sometimes you have to go back and watch that story, listen to that story, read that story a second time, a third time, to pick up on little nuances that you may have missed the first time around. If the movie goer has to see a movie a second and third time to pick up little things they missed, and the author has to rewrite to get it right, why do you listen to the story that other people tell you? Why are you not writing your own story in your head? You've heard all the cliches, be the master of your own mind, be the star in your own movie, be the director of your own movie. Why aren't you doing it? There's a scientific effect that says we know what to do, but we don't always do what we know is good for us. Don't worry about what everyone says you need to do. Go through a process. Look at how much time you invested into what you were doing. Equate that into your success or failure. Look at your intent. Saw a couple guys in the gym the other day working on a particular technique. Nothing wrong with the technique. The technique was solid. Technique was valid. But where they were starting the technique from was a bit of a problem. So I offered some suggestions and saying, hey, let's start from the original technique. Let's look at it. Then look at what you're trying to do. There's a process that will get you there, is all I'm trying to say. And you don't have to guess at it. You don't have to judge it. You don't have to be angry about it. You don't have to be confused about it. Generally, that's the problem. We don't like going through these processes, even though we know we should. They seem to be hard. But hard is just, not being 6 feet tall and having to dunk a basketball in a goal that's 10 feet tall. Hard is not knowing how to drive the car, but I'm in NASCAR now. I've got to run the race. Hard is always just something you haven't invested in. The time, the knowledge, the background, the training. That's all hard ever is. It's something outside of your scope. And when it is in your scope, it's just you not wanting to take the action steps. Because somewhere along the line, someone told you, well, you're not good at these action steps because you don't have an equivalent measurement for what good is. Everyone's still trying to convince you that we've moved on into the why. We've been in the why. We're at the how. There's a lot of whys out there. There's a lot of principle-based concept training available everywhere. You want to learn more about jiu-jitsu, the why is out there. Why do you do this? Why do you go that? The how is the time now. Because the how is not about just doing the technique, in a route way, committing it to memory and just going through the structure. The how is how to train it to get it at a high level of performance. That's the how. The steps that we need to go through takes work, takes effort. And we don't want to go through that. So stop listening to these stories that other people tell you, because that's going to delay you doing that work already. If you already have a problem, it's because of the story that you're telling yourself. And then you allow yourself to be reinforced with negative stories about yourself from outside sources. And a lot of times when we have the negative stories being told about ourselves, or the negative stories that we tell ourselves, it's because we're judging ourselves. Not fast enough, not strong enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough. Then when somebody else comes to tell you, they don't have to say those exact things. They just say, hey, that girl doesn't like you. So then you fall into that same category where you tell yourself you weren't handsome enough. You relate it back to that. So now it's reinforced. If you can excel because of good habits being reinforced, you can fail because of negative habits being reinforced. So pay attention. Don't allow one's words or thoughts get into your head. I went to a comic book store yesterday and talked to the owner. It's a guy that I frequented a few times in the last year or so. I kind of like the guy because the one thing I like about him is that he's not one of these guys that's afraid of masculinity. You can just see it. It's not the bullshit machismo. Don't get me wrong. All right, but you can tell that you stepped to him the wrong way. He's got lines drawn in the sand about what he believes in terms of his philosophy and the way he lives his life, and I'm cool with that. I'm absolutely cool with that because I don't have to go with him home. And that's the one thing I remember about learning to respect someone else's views. I don't have to go with you home. I don't have to engage with you. I don't have to put my life on the line to satisfy you. And it's the old thing, you share a few beers and swap a few lies. I had my exaggerations in there as well. But that's what it was about. It was just good storytelling. There was nothing he was saying that could impact me because I was well aware of who I am. And that's the way you need to be. You really need to stand firm on who you are, especially as a mixed martial arts fighter. And the real key is to find out who that is. Who are you as a mixed martial arts fighter? And have an honest assessment. In other words, measure your performance, not judge it. If you can only do 10 push-ups, that's it. That's all you can do. You can only do 10. And no matter how great the workout was, it comes to an end. So you've only done so much in that workout. The key is, what are you willing to give for the next workout? That's the key to improvement. So if you actually take inventory of what you're doing, you can move one step closer. You can do one more push-up. You can throw one more kick. You can throw one more punch. You can go for one more arm lock in the next training session. And the last thing I'm going to say on the whole idea of performance is this. If you have a bad day, before you leave the gym, do something that you can accomplish. Most workouts are designed to tax you, to see how you are mentally, physically, of handling yourself in a weakened state. So after you've recovered a little bit, after training's over, after you've recovered just a little bit, do something that you can perform well already, that you know in your head. Leave the gym with the idea that you finish with a strong performance. Don't go home hating, because if you understand what workouts are designed to do, what I just said, they're designed to diminish you so that your coaches can measure you in a weakened state, you'll be cool with that. You'll be okay. I've seen some of the best kickboxers and strikers in MMA have really bad days in the gym. I've seen some of the best wrestlers and submission artists get taken down and submitted in their own game. What I pay attention to is what they've gone through before that happened. Understand where I'm coming from? So, you lost the fight. You lost the competition. So what? Don't beat yourself up about it. I am Coach Sess. You've had words with the Mad Coach.